What's going on, guys? Chaseontwowheels here, and behind me you probably noticed a couple Ducati Scramblers. Ducati has made an incredible fleet of Scrambler models that cover the gamut for all the type of riding you're probably looking to do. But because of that, there are so many of them, it's very quick and easy to kind of not know what Scrambler does what and what it's best used for. So we decided to do another comparison series on just the Ducati Scrambler. So by the end of this series, you guys should have a clear understanding of what every Scrambler is and what type of riding it's used for. So guys, in today's video, we're gonna be comparing the Ducati Scrambler to the Ducati Scrambler to Ducati Scrambler and the Ducati Scrambler. More specifically, the Cafe Racer, the 1100, the Desert Sled, Yami, I'm looking at you, and how could we forget the beautiful baby 62. If you aren't familiar with how we do comparisons here on the channel, let me catch you guys up to speed real quick. In this video, we'll be breaking down all of the stats on the bikes and comparing them to one another. After this, I will be doing a back-to-back first rides on all of the bikes in the class. Once I've had some seat time on all the bikes, we'll be doing a final video going over what I thought of each bike and how they compare to one another. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of those videos. This comparison will be slightly different, as we typically like to crown a winner of the class. For this comparison, it will be more like a easily defining what kind of rider is best for each bike. All we need you guys to do is smash that like button down below if you are excited about the comparison, and let us know which Ducati Scrambler is your personal favorite and why. Before we get into this, guys, I gotta give a huge shout out to Motorsports for providing all of these beautiful Scramblers for us to test. They're a huge dealership here in North Georgia, and if you're in the market for a motorcycle, we have a way for you to save some cash on your next bike with them. Just click the link down below for first ride special pricing, and you'll be on your way for saving cash on your next bike. So guys, the Ducati Scrambler as we know it today was introduced to the world in 2014 and released for the US sales in 2015. With an astonishing 7 models in the lineup: Classic, Urban Duro, Icon, Flat Track Pro, Full Throttle, Italia Independent, and the 62, there are 3 engine options for the Scrambler lineup: an 800cc, a 400cc, and an 1100cc. All 3 boasting different power levels, weights, and riding characteristics. Something similar you'll find on all the bikes in this class are that they use a trellis frame design and a 6-speed transmission. That's the characteristic that links all these models together. Now, let's break down the stats of each bike. First bike up on the list is the big boy of the class, and that's the Scrambler 1100 Sport. This thing's gonna have the largest engine size, coming in at a big old 1079cc L-twin boasting 86 horsepower and 67 foot-pounds of torque. Seat height is going to be 31.9 inches, and it's got a 3.96 gallon gas tank. MSRP on this thing is going to be sitting around $15,905 and has a wet weight of 454 pounds. With this being the most expensive model, you are also going to get the most rider aids, including ABS, Ducati cornering ABS, quick shifter, slipper clutch, traction control, 3 rider modes. Oh, and how could we forget that glorious Öhlins front and rear suspension. Next up is visually my personal favorite, and that's the Ducati Scrambler Cafe Racer. This one is going to be rocking the 800cc version of Ducati's Desmotronic L-twin with 79 horsepower and 49 foot-pounds of torque. Gas tank wise, we're looking at 3.6 gallon tank, and our seat height is 31.7 inches. With that engine drop, we are going to see a price drop here as well, with an MSRP of $11,995. The total wet weight of this bike is going to be 439 pounds, and as far as rider age, the Cafe Racer comes with ABS, Ducati cornering ABS, and a slipper clutch. Now let's move on to the Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled. This model is going to share the same engine as the Cafe Racer, but seeing how different each model is, you'll probably see why we included 2 of the 800cc versions. Having the same engine, we do have the same 73 horsepower and 49 foot-pounds of torque coming out of the Ducati 803cc L-twin. It has the same 3.6 gallon gas tank and even shares the MSRP of $11,995. A few differences include a seat height of 33.9 inches, which makes total sense with this being a model focused on mild off-road use, but the biggest difference to me is its 460 pound wet weight. When it comes to rider aids, we are going to see ABS, off-road ABS, and an off-road ride mode. Finally, we have the Ducati Scrambler 62. This little guy is going to be sporting the smallest of the L-twin engines with a 399cc L-twin, putting out 400 horsepower and 27 foot-pounds of torque. We have that familiar 31.1 inch seat height and a slightly smaller fuel tank of 3.1 gallons. Price-wise, we are looking at $7,995 with a wet weight of 403 pounds. We also have ABS included on this model. So guys, those are the models we're going to be looking at in this comparison. Now let's get our numbers on and compare how all these models look against each other. When it comes to horsepower, we can really see how much more we are getting on the 800 and the 1100cc engine models. Obviously, the 1100cc comes in at the most with 86, but I think the most interesting takeaway here is that the 800cc model is only 13 horsepower away from its 1100cc big brother. It's also cool to see how the max horsepower occurs at a lower RPM as we gain in engine size. Moving on to torque, we have a similar situation. No surprises here, the 1100cc comes in at the most, though we aren't seeing as close numbers compared to the 800cc version. We can also see that those peak torque numbers on all engine models goes down as you go down in cc size. The 400cc Sixty2 has to rev to 8,000 before hitting max torque, while the Scrambler 1100 hits its max torque numbers down at 4,750 RPMs. It's kind of cool. So guys, I'm including engine in this group just for completeness of information's sake. You guys know by now we have 3 engine types ranging from 1079 cc's down to 399 cc's. The cool thing here is that they're all Ducati L twins, just in different sizes. Seat height is a pretty cool set of stats to look at. We have very similar seat heights for the Sixty2, the Cafe Racer, and the 1100, all chilling around the 31-inch mark. Ducati gave the Desert Sled a necessary seat height jump of around 2 inches. With it being a more off-road focused machine, it's got to have a little more ground clearance than the other Scramblers. When it comes to fuel tanks, we have a difference of about a gallon between the highest and lowest model. Keep in mind that 31-gallon gas tank on the Sixty2 is probably going to last you longer than the 4 gallons on the 1100. I'd imagine that 62 is probably going to sip gas, while that 1100 is going to make you want to ride like a bat out of hell. Next up is what I thought was one of the most interesting sets of stats, and that's the weight. I'd be willing to bet that all of us would have thought it would have been a no-brainer that the 1100 would be the heaviest, and here we are with the Desert Sled coming in as the heaviest Scrambler in our lineup by just a few pounds. The Sixty2 is obviously coming in at the lightest by almost 30 pounds. I'm honestly not really sure what's causing that extra 30 pounds on the Desert Sled compared to the Cafe Racer. I'd imagine it's got to have bulkier components to be able to be dropped while off-roading. If you guys know where that 30 pounds is coming from on the Desert Sled compared to the Cafe Racer, let us know in the comments. And the final group of stats we have is the price. We're fluctuating from 15 grand for the 1100 down to just under 8 for the Sixty2 model. Personally, for a 400cc bike, 8 grand is asking a lot when you have bikes like the Ninja 400 that cost $4,995, but then again, it's a Ducati, so they get to charge that Ducati tax. I do feel like these are some hefty numbers, but I'm hoping that translates to the riding experience as many Ducatis in the past have done for me. And guys, that's all the info we got on the Ducati Scramblers, or at least for the models that we have behind us. I'm really excited to get some seat time in on these things to find out what type of rider each of them is for, and I'm personally really excited about that Cafe Racer because it looks sick. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop us a like down below and subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos in this Ducati Scrambler comparison series. I'm Chaseontwowheels. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Outro crew, you know the question. Which Scrambler are you picking? Desert Sled, Cafe Racer, 1100, and the Sixty2. If you pick the Sixty2, I'm gonna be shocked. Thank you guys for getting to the end of the video. Love you long time. Joke's on everybody, Bo picked the Sixty2.